Hello, YouTube. How are we doing this evening? It is, what, Friday, April 3rd? Woo-woo! I have no Greek class tomorrow. Woo-woo! We're off for the holiday. Two holidays, since Greek Easter is until next week. I get off this weekend and next weekend, no Greek class. Woo-woo! Oh, there we go. Instagram is starting. Excellent. Let me move Substack over here now. Substack. There we go. Two of you are on Substack. Excellent. All right, Substack is there. Oh, you guys can't hear? Or not? On Discord? Oh, that sucks. Let me check my setting. Actually, could you guys hear me on YouTube? Hopefully. And hopefully this is just a problem. Oh, that's weird. Let me go back to Scarlet again. That's my iPhone for voice. Scarlet. Hold on. Testing 1, 2, 3. Oh, it's claiming it's coming through. You guys can't hear it on Discord? Now you can hear? Okay. All right. You guys can hear fine. TikTok and YouTube. Oh, I didn't even start TikTok yet. YouTube. All right. Is anybody still not hearing? Do I need to leave and come back on Discord? All right. We're going to see if there's anybody on Discord I need to leave and come back with or not. Otherwise, of course, it's happening to the mods. Okay, everybody else is able to hear, so that's good. Okay, it's fine now? Okay. All right, guys, welcome. Your Discord crashed. That may be why the sound wasn't working. All right, let me start TikTok, and we're good. All right. TikTok. There we go. All righty. Welcome, everybody. TikTok is rolling. Welcome, guys. Hello, Ryan. Happy Friday, everybody. Woo, woo, woo. Okay, Sasha's here. Oh, my God. What are you doing? What are you doing, crazy dog? What are you doing, crazy dog? Oh, my God. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Hello. Anyway, hello, everybody. Hey, Jens. So welcome, guys. Happy Friday. Friday, April 3rd. In America, we are quickly approaching tax day. So keep that in mind. Well, the Americans know that. Every American knows what it is. April 15th is when our taxes are due for the previous year here in America. So we've been busy working on all of that. So mine's ready. I usually let mine sit for a week. I let them sit and then I file them. Like just in case I forgot. I already did, actually. I let them sit one day and I already went, oh my God, deductions. So I made a little more money by remembering my deductions. But anyway, yours is coming. Oh, yours is around now too in the UK. Interesting. So anyway, welcome, guys. Keep in mind this weekend we've got our coffee talk. Actually, we got both coffee talks this weekend. Coffee talk tomorrow for the paid monthly subscribers for everybody at 11 a.m. Eastern Time US for anybody who's a monthly subscriber, and Sunday at 11 a.m. is for the VIP donors. Basically, anybody who's shelling out $25 a month for the subscriptions. I figured I had to do a special category of thanks for folks doing that. So you guys are Sunday at 11 o'clock. Usually that's Jens and a few other people, Poppy, some others, but that's about it. So let's get rolling. Welcome, guys. John Arvos is here. We're going to talk about latest news that will mostly be Iran. We've got some news from the rest of the world too, but most of our stuff is Iran today. Hello, dog. And I'm, of course, going to reach down and keep playing with my dog occasionally because she's old and needs it. So with no further ado, let's get rolling, guys. Please keep the gifts coming on TikTok and YouTube. You know how that goes. I very much appreciate your gifts. They help support my work, so thank you. I will always try to do a shout-out like that cool one right there. That was a kind of a fun one. Was that an Easter bunny? Thank you, Bowie. A flying Easter bunny. Kind of cool. So let's get rolling, guys. So you guys are probably aware the big news in the U.S. today is Iran appears to have shot down, or at least... well, shot down pretty much seems to be the case. 3 U.S. aircraft. The first one was an F-15E fighter jet. Then a Black Hawk helicopter got shot down that was searching for one of the missing crew members of the F-15. And then an A-10 Warthog got shot down. Not clear. Warthogs... I mean, I'm a foreign policy guy, not a military guy, but I've known about warthogs since the first Gulf War. Warthogs are for, like, basically hunting tanks and things. So I'm doubting that this had anything to do with the search and rescue. Pretty bad news, though, for us to have 3 planes shot down in one day. Not very good news. Now, one crew member that we know of is still missing. One of the crew members from the F-15E, there were apparently 2 on board, and one was rescued, which is good. The other one is still missing. Now, I just read we're talking maybe 8 hours at this point that this person's been missing. Having said that, if he or she survived, they could be hiding. I mean, you're in enemy territory, you know. I'm sure they've got protocols in place as to what you do, but not good stuff. So this is kind of scary stuff. Now, interestingly, I did not realize this until I saw other people tweeting this. Thank you, Melanie. Thank you, Annie. Annie, is Donald Trump. What do you want? Donald Trump on Wednesday. Remember Wednesday night when Donald Trump gave his big speech? Sorry, we're giving the dog little treats to keep her quiet. When Donald Trump was giving his big speech Wednesday night that freaked everybody out, one of the quotes Trump said, Iran, have no anti-aircraft equipment left. They have no anti-aircraft equipment left. Well, they shot down 3 planes today. Unless they did it with spitballs, they did it with something. Now, I am hoping that Trump's hubris, which is excess pride, did not infect the military and help cause these crashes. That basically, I would hope and think that our military is professional enough that even if there's a buffoon running it, such as Donald Trump, saying lies like Iran has no anti-aircraft equipment, hopefully our pilots are smart enough to know that Donald Trump is a pathological liar, that Donald Trump is an idiot, and that when Donald Trump says that Iran has no anti-aircraft equipment, he's lying. He doesn't have any clue what's going on. And that hopefully they did not listen to Trump and basically get sloppy. One hopes that didn't happen. But pretty damn scary that Trump was talking about Iran having no ability to shoot down our planes, and 2 days later, Iran shoots down 3 of our aircraft, right? You know, F-15E, Warthog, and a Black Hawk. Very bad. CNN, roughly half of Iran's military launchers are still intact, and thousands of one-way attack drones remain in Iran's arsenal, despite the daily pounding by the U.S. Quote, we can keep effing them up. I don't doubt it. But you're out of your mind if you think this will be done in 2 weeks, said one source. Defense Secretary Hegseth. So there is something very weird going on with tons of top generals being fired at the Pentagon. Thank you, Bonzo. That's a crazy gift. Thank you for that. That was very nice. Oh, and Annie with another pink gift. Thank you, Annie. Those are very cool. Thank you. I'd never seen those before. The Hegseth has been firing generals left. I'm talking like a dozen or more generals. A lot of generals have been fired over the last several months. People are trying to figure out why. It's very suspicious. We know some of them are being targeted because of their race, because they're women, or because they're black, and we know that for a fact. This is just out-and-out racism and sexism from Hegseth and the Trump administration. But the other ones, hard to know what's going on. I think what a lot of people think, which is very scary, is that basically Trump is intentionally getting rid of generals who might say no to something horrific, that they get an order that is illegal, and that they're the kind of generals who might say no to an illegal order, which is exactly what U.S. law demands and what military law demands of them. That if they get an illegal order, they have to say no. Thank you, Cricket. And that possibly they're getting rid of the generals who would say no in response to an illegal order from Trump and Hegseth. The problem becomes, what is that illegal order? What does it deal with? Does it have to deal with the war? Does it have to deal with November? Right? What does it have to deal with? Very scary stuff. So Hegseth last night fired the Army Chief of Staff. That would be the top general in the U.S. Army. Now, you might think it's a little strange that we're in the middle of a war and they're firing the head of the Army. That does not look good, the top general being fired. Doesn't look good at all. It makes it look like chaos. It makes it look like the war isn't going well. Now, what's really disturbing is there are some reports that this didn't have to deal with the war at all, which frankly is even more disturbing. Oh, thank you, Gene. That's a ridiculous. I like how she went back inside my head. That was even cooler. there are some reports that Hegseth fired the Army Chief of Staff, actually. He wants to fire the Secretary as well. The Army Chief of Staff, because a couple different reports. One was because reportedly the Army Chief of Staff refused to, all right, dog, go on out. Go on. You're okay. Go on. Go. No? You just want to sit there? Okay. My crazy dog. My dog is 16 and, kind of become grandma. She's kind of become grandma, so she's needier than ever here. It's okay. But the talk was that Hegseth fired the Army Chief of Staff possibly because he refused to hold back the promotions of 2 black and 2 female officers. That basically Hegseth intentionally singled out 2 officers and said, you've got them up for promotion. You are not going to promote them because they're black, and you are not going to promote these 2 because they're women. And Hegseth basically indicated, according to the reports, that it was clear on its face, because they were black, 2 of them, and because 2 of them were women, Hegseth apparently felt on its face that was proof that they weren't qualified to be promoted. Right? And this general, thank you, Jesus, this general reportedly refused to remove them from the list because the general wasn't a racist, sexist pig. So that's the first thing. There were some other stories going around, too, that Hegseth is also, what was it? It was with, actually, I've got to look again and see which one this was. No, he's trying to, right. So that was the Army Chief of Staff, okay? He's also trying to get the Army Secretary fired, the Secretary of the Army. So you've got the civilian head of the Army is the Secretary. The military head of the Army is the Chief of Staff. He already fired the Chief of Staff. He's going after the Secretary as well, but he can't really get the Secretary. And he's going after the Secretary because he's afraid the Secretary wants his job. The bigger problem here, we're at war, and Mr. Hairspray is busy worrying about, oh, this guy may be trying to get my job, let's fire him. Or this guy isn't racist and sexist enough, right? This guy isn't racist and sexist enough, we need to fire him. In the middle of a war, again, guys, our top general at the Army is gone. The top general who runs everything is gone in the middle of a war. Ostensibly because he doesn't think we should basically get rid of blacks and women from being promoted simply because they're black and women. Or black or women, I should say. It was both he was going after. Black officers and female officers. This is really fucked up stuff. This is really screwed up. Or the alternative is there's something horribly wrong with the war. And they basically fired, and Trump fired the top general because something is horribly wrong with this war. I mean, none of this bodes well. By the way, it also doesn't really look good to the enemy. Because the Iranians already tweeted, actually. The Iranians tweeted, I should agree. I didn't even think, it's funny. I always grab stuff for the show as the day goes on, and I saw this, and I should have grabbed it for you guys. The Iranians put out a tweet showing our top military officials and all the ones that Trump has gotten rid of, like the Army, Chief of Staff right now. And basically, they called it their own regime change, that Trump is losing all his top people. Of course, Trump is losing them because he's firing them. What else do we have here? Hegseth also fired 2 other generals last night, 2 additional generals. Again, nobody knows what he's doing, except that it looks like he's trying to keep his yes men. Interestingly, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, which are the heads of the military heads of the various branches, right? And, Air Force, Marines, Navy, Army. And the Joint Chiefs tweeted in recognition of the Army Chief of Staff that Hegseth fired. And a lot of people are interpreting this as the Joint Chiefs basically standing up to Hegseth over this guy being fired. Now, it's a subtle thing, but he gets fired and they put out a tweet saying what an amazing person he was. The point of that is to say he shouldn't have been fired because he was an amazing, right? If this guy got fired for cause, imagine it. If this guy got fired for cause, the Joint Chiefs aren't going to put out a tweet saying he was amazing, but he attacked women or something crazy, right? I mean, they're not going to do it. They did it because they were literally openly disagreeing with Hegseth. There was another story I saw today that there's growing discontent in the senior levels of the military against Hegseth. Now, keep in mind, our defense secretary is some pretty boy from Fox News. Thank you, son. He's totally unqualified. He wasn't just a Fox News announcer. He was the weekend Fox News announcer. He didn't have a show during the week. When you have a show during the week, that's pretty big. When you have a show on the weekend, you're new, you're small. They're giving you a chance, but you're not the big guys, right? When you're on the weekend, you're not the big guys. And Hegseth was the weekend guy. He was in the military before, but he was very junior. He was not qualified at all to be Secretary of Defense. Trump picked him because he looked good on TV. He had nice hair. I think his hair looks ridiculous, actually, because he always puts so much, honestly, Gavin Newsom does this too. He puts so much crap in his hair and then brushes it back. He looks stupid. That's his big qualification for being Secretary of Defense, is he's got cute hair. That was a cute gift. That was Sun and Moon. Oh, egg hunt. I didn't know there was an Easter. We had Easter-themed gifts. That was really nice. Thank you for that. So yeah, not good stuff going on with the war with these guys. What else do we've got? Hang on here. I mean, there's a lot of other news. Oh, this was NBC reports. NBC reports today, one of the big American networks, that Hegseth has taken steps to block or delay promotions for more than a dozen black and female senior officers across. Ooh, I hate that when you get like, oh, and the dog's looking at me. I know I was sneezing. She hates that. Hegseth has taken steps to block or delay promotions for more than a dozen black and female senior officers across all four branches of the military. Very bad. Thank you, Elaine, for the Easter Bunny. Thank you, Luis, for the rock star. What else we got? France. So France, interestingly, France today, two things happened. France apparently vetoed a UN Security Council resolution about opening up the Strait of Hormuz. France is permanent member. France can veto. France vetoed it, killed it. At the same time, Iran let a French vessel, a French tanker, go through the Strait of Hormuz. And everybody's, of course, pissed at the French. Like, the French sold out. They reached a deal with Iran. Keep in mind here what happened this week. Yesterday or the day before, Donald Trump, it might have been in the last 48 hours, Donald Trump attacked the president of France and attacked his wife, okay? He attacked the president of France and his wife and is surprised that France was not interested in joining his little war that seems to be spiraling out of control. I don't think that's the only reason France did what it did today, but I think it's more than a coincidence that France today voted against us at the United Nations and that the Iranians then let a French ship go through the Strait of Hormuz the day after Donald Trump made fun of the French president's wife, right? If you're going to be a sexist pig and attack other leaders' wives, then they're going to go tell you to go F yourself. Thank you, Kim, for the egg. Oh, that's one of the Easter eggs. It's like an Easter egg bonnet. Thank you for that. Right? They're going to tell you to go F yourself. And that's what the French did. You know, I have a hard time getting upset about this. This is a stupid war. This is a disaster of a war. Donald Trump doesn't know what he's doing. He lied his way into it. We don't know why he got into this war. We don't even know how the war is really going because he's not telling us. He doesn't know what he's trying to accomplish. They're firing generals left and right. I mean, this is like honestly, you know, this is just like Trump in general, right? Remember Trump always gets top people, he gets the suck-ups, and then he fires them. And then he fires them. This is Trump. It's a disaster. He always declares bankruptcy. Everything's a disaster with Trump, and these idiots elected him anyway, and now he's president, and we're at war. And he took us into a war, you know? And now, what do? You know? What else we got now? Trump was tweeting today about taking all of Iran's oil. Oh, thank you, Christina. That's a gift it's a dragon head gift where if you turn your head, we found out after a few months of getting that gift that if you turn your head sideways, it throws flame out of your mouth, which is really freaking cool. It's a really neat gift. Trump tweeted today about taking Iran's oil for America. That was kind of nice. Kuwait says a power and desalination plant has been hit by an Iranian attack today. The extent of the damage was not known earlier today when the story came out. Iran is refusing to meet U.S. negotiators in Pakistan in the coming days and says that the U.S. proposal was unacceptable, the latest one. Trump's new budget came out last night. So Trump has a proposed budget where, and I don't remember if this came out yet. Did this already come out by the time we had the show last night? I don't remember. But Trump's new budget comes out last night for the Pentagon. He wants, actually, some of this did come out yesterday because I played you that tape of Trump. He wants $1.5 trillion for the Pentagon. $1.5 trillion. We've got around $1 trillion right now, a little under $1 trillion right now. It would be, or maybe it's a little over $1 trillion. So I had read one analysis that said it was about a 42% increase. 42% increase in the defense budget, okay? From 1 trillion to like 1.5 practically. He wants to pay for it by killing all these domestic programs. For example, Trump proposed we kill LIHEAP. Now, LIHEAP is a program a lot of you may not be familiar with. I'm familiar with it from working on a lot of progressive issues and things. LIHEAP is an energy assistance program where basically the federal government helps people who don't have as much money pay for their heating bills in the winter especially. It's especially, they might do summer electrical too, but winter heating is the big thing they do. And it's like in the northeast of the U.S., it's incredibly important, right? Places that get super cold in the winter, it helps poor people. Trump is killing, he wants to kill LIHEAP. He wants to basically kill the program to pay for the war. Now, the other thing Trump said yesterday, giving dog a treat, there we go. The other thing Trump said yesterday, which we talked about on the show, yesterday Trump said, you know, I've told my, OMB director, we can't keep paying for things like childcare. Stop paying anything dealing with childcare in the U.S. federal budget because we've got a war. We can't afford childcare. He goes, the federal government can't afford Medicaid. Thank you, Rosie. Trump goes, the federal government can't afford Medicare. Trump said this yesterday. I got the tape. We played it yesterday. Trump said the federal government can no longer afford to do Medicare. And we should give it to the states. And if the state can't afford it, they can raise taxes. Trump proposed getting rid of Medicare at the federal level because we shouldn't be paying for it, Trump says. He then proposed raising taxes to pay for Medicare. I mean, insane stuff, absolutely insane stuff. And he said it's all because of the war. Because of the war, we can't afford anything anymore. Because Trump wants to go crazy with his war. Again, 50% increase practically in the defense budget, 50, that's insane, right? We don't need a 50% increase. Now, we do if we're going to be the world's policeman. If we're going to have wars all over the world in Venezuela and Cuba and Iran and everywhere else around the world, then we do need a 50% increase. But I thought this was the guy who got elected saying he was going to do the exact opposite, that we were no longer the world's policeman. And now we're the world's policeman. And Donald Trump is going to get us involved in every war on the planet. He's going to waste all of our money. And now we've got to get rid of things like Medicare and Medicaid and LIHEAP and child care because Donald Trump, oh, the best part, Trump goes, Medicaid and Medicare, these scams. He called Medicare a scam. Medicare is something all of us pay into. All of our lives in America, we pay into Medicare. It comes out of our paychecks. There's a certain percent, I forget the percentage, whether it's like 5% or something, but there's a certain percentage that goes to like Social Security, goes to Medicare, goes to a bunch of different programs. And all of us pay, I mean, it's even more than that for Social Security. All of us pay into this. It's our money. Like, he can't just say, oh, we can't afford it, we're getting rid of it. It's our money, we already paid into this thing. But he literally, I'll play the tape again. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Succeed. Oh, crazy gift. Thank you. That's the hop head. That's a very nice gift, by the way. Thank you for that one. Let me play the tape of Donald Trump saying this because it's so obnoxious and it's so, here we go. So this is Donald Trump talking about, I believe, the OMB director, budget director. And he's telling him, we can't afford these things. Stop spending money. Here.
Don't send any, I said to Russell, don't send any money for daycare because the United States can't take care of daycare. That has to be up to a state. We can't take care of daycare. We're a big country. We have 50 states. We have all these other people. We're fighting wars. We can't take care of daycare. You got to let a state take care of daycare, and they should pay for it, too. They should pay. They have to raise their taxes, but they should pay for it. And we could lower our taxes a little bit to them to make up for, but it's not possible for us to take care of daycare. Medicaid, Medicare, all these individual things. They can do it on a state basis. You can't do it on a federal. We have to take care of one thing, military protection. We have to guard the country. But all these little things, all these little scams that have taken place, you have to let states take care of them, Russell, and you have to do it. I said to
All
Russell,
of these
don't
little
send
things, all of these scams.
for daycare.
He's talking about Medicare, Medicaid, and daycare, and he calls them scams. Yeah. Yeah. By the way, he then says, oh, well, we just have to states will just have to raise taxes to pay for Medicare. The states will pay for it. They'll have to raise your taxes. Mind you, we're already paying into our taxes. He then says, well, maybe we'll lower federal taxes a little to help. Here's the problem. If Trump says because of his wars, the federal government can no longer afford Medicare, he wants to get rid of Medicare but keep the money, right? He's not going to get rid of Medicare and cut the taxes that provide for Medicare, because then it's just like having Medicare, right? Here's the point. Let's say my entire budget is I'm the federal government, my entire budget is $1. Let's say Medicare is $10 of that budget, or excuse me, 10 cents, right? Let's say Medicare is 10 cents of the entire $1. The entire federal budget is $1. Medicare is 10 cents. And I say, I'm Donald Trump, we can no longer afford to pay Medicare. We don't have that. That 10 cents is costing us too much. We need it for other things, right? So we're going to give it to the states. They can pay for it. Well, right there, you make 10 cents. You get rid of Medicare and you give it to the states. The federal government still has that 10 cents that was being spent on Medicare. It can spend it on other stuff. It can use it towards the deficit, whatever. But then Trump goes, and maybe we can lower taxes a little to help for the states. No, we can't. If you're getting rid of Medicare because you want to take that 10 cents for yourself, the federal government, and you don't have enough money, you can't then get rid of the taxes that gave you that 10 cents, because it's the same thing, right? Think about it. You've got a federal budget that's $1. Medicare is 10 cents of that dollar. That means you've got 90 cents left, and he says that 90 cents isn't enough. If you get rid of Medicare and you lower federal taxes that were for Medicare, and you get rid of the 10 cents, now you still have 90 cents left. In other words, if you get rid of Medicare and get rid of the taxes, which Trump was hinting at, you're in the same situation you were in before. You're only getting 90 cents on the dollar and you can't afford it. He's bullshitting. But anyway, like I said, calling Medicare a scam, I mean, damn, right? No, again, I'm glad he's doing this. I'm glad he's saying it. We've got an election coming up in the fall, in November. Republicans are not going to be happy that Trump said this. I mean, and calling Medicare a scam, forget it. That's going to be in every TV commercial. That Trump thinks we can and that Trump said we can no longer afford Medicare because of we're at war. In other words, the reason we can't afford Medicare is because Trump did too many wars. Thank you, fur baby. I mean, bravo, Donald Trump. Exactly. The great businessman. Exactly. What else we got here? Republican Senator John Curtis of Utah. Oh, thank you. That was very cool. Dawn with a snail. Republican Senator John Curtis of Utah said today that he is not going to vote for any more money for the war unless there is a declaration of war. He's demanding a declaration of war, or he's not going to allow any additional funding to go for the war. That was very interesting, I thought. That was very interesting. Associated Press, Hunter Biden watch. Associated Press reports that a drone maker backed by Donald Trump's two eldest sons is trying to sell to Gulf countries while they are under attack by Iran and dependent on the U.S. military led by their father. Quote, these countries are under enormous pressure to buy from the sons of the president, so he will do what they want, said Richard Painter, a former chief White House ethics lawyer under President Bush. This is going to be the first family of a president to make a lot of money off of war. Trump's own sons are hitting up the Gulf states and trying to get them to buy the Trump weapon, whatever, to defend against drones. And imagine, and these same Gulf states are now dependent on Trump to protect them because Trump started the war. He got Iran to attack them. And now Trump is having to defend the Gulf states while his sons go, hey, I know my father is defending you, Mr. Saudi Arabia. It'd be a crime if something were to happen to such a nice country, right? But I'd like you to throw me some business while my father is defending you. No, these people are so far beyond the Hunter Biden situation, it's not even funny. And the amount of money, the Hunter Biden thing was $24 million total. These guys are in the billions of dollars at this point that we're talking. It is beyond outrageous. Because, again, the American president, Trump tweeted yesterday or today, last night, he's upset at Bruce Springsteen. Bruce Springsteen, super famous American singer, amazing American singer going back to like the 1970s. But a Democrat, so Bruce is not even a Democrat. Bruce is, he's for the working man. Those are what a lot of his songs are about. And he came out in support of the No Kings rallies, this kind of stuff. Trump tweets yesterday, quote, this is the extent. Actually, I want to see if I can find the tweet. I want to show you this tweet because it's so bizarre. I know I've got it. It's so bizarre and so immature. It is the kind of thing that an American president should never, ever do. The idea of an American president doing this is, akin to, like we said, invoking the 25th Amendment, really. Where is this? Hang on. I don't know if I've got, it's funny. I've got it because I added it in my show. Let's see. Hold on. I'm going to scroll back and see. That's taking all the oil. Come on. Hang on, looking for Trump's tweet about Bruce. It was disgusting. It's typical Trump, but absolutely disgusting. And again, it's the president of the United States writing these things. And you're like, is it really? Not to mention, we're at war, and he's busy spending his time trying to figure out how to attack our singers because they made him mad. Here we go. This is Trump's tweet about Bruce Springsteen. Okay? Is Bruce Springsteen going to sue his plastic surgeon? That's all he wrote. Is Bruce Springsteen going to sue his plastic surgeon? He's saying Bruce Springsteen's ugly. This is a grown man. A grown heterosexual man, I might add. Right? 80-year-old grown businessman. And the thing that also gets me too with Trump is, Donald Trump, thank you, Garden Girl. Donald Trump is attacking other people for the way they look. By the way, plastic surgery, look at Trump. He's had lots of plastic surgery. But Donald Trump, who is morbidly obese, is attacking other people for the way they look. Also, it's the president of the United States. Oh, sorry, I was looking down. I was looking away. What was that? Oh, what was that? Wait, I'm scrolling up now. TikTok does this occasionally. It hides who the gifts are from. I can't see who the gifts are from. Oh, it was the Hives. It was Garden Girl. Thank you, Garden Girl. Okay. Sometimes it hides who the gift is from. It drives me crazy. He's a mess. And again, we're at war. If I'm Iran, I'm looking at that tweet and going, wow, he's very disturbed right now. He's clearly mentally rattled and mentally disturbed. He's lashing out at singers. Thank you, Annie. He's lashing out at singers and lashing out at the way they look and their plastic surgery. That's unhinged, but it suggests somebody who's in trouble, who's having a crisis, right? And the crisis Trump is in right now is Iran. If I'm Iran, I'm looking at that and going, this probably means the war isn't going well. If he's lashing out and doing crazy stuff, it means the war is... Trump is always this way, but thank you, Annie. Hey, stop. But this is bad for even Trump. In other words, you're sort of signaling to the enemy that things aren't going well, which is not what you want to be signaling, to the enemy. Exactly. Our president is nuts like my neighbor using his lawn blower for no reason. Basically, yes. Some other news today. Trump apparently is reportedly considering firing Kash Patel. That was the rumor yesterday that Alex Jones put out. It's been confirmed that he's considering it. He also wants to get rid of Commerce Secretary Harold Lutnick. Thank you, Annie. Lutnick is that really obnoxious guy from New York. Lutnick, remember Lutnick, who goes on TV? And I'm doing Jerry Lewis now, but thank you, Cheryl. But Lutnick is really loud and obnoxious. He was the head of Cantor Fitzgerald. He's just this obnoxious New York business guy. Pure New York. Obnoxious as hell. And anyway, Trump wants to get rid of him. Trump wants to get rid of Kash Patel, which is funny as hell. Thank you, Jen. More of the Easter stuff. I didn't see any Easter. There are different gifts, by the way, depending where you come on the show. I did not see anything. Thank you for the puppy as well, Heather. I did not see any of Easter gifts. I didn't notice those. But I noticed, like, when I was abroad in Italy or in Indonesia, the gifts were different. It was a whole selection of gifts when I was on TikTok, in foreign countries. It's kind of fun, but it's kind of weird, right? They're like totally different. And they're like fun stuff. Like, you're like, why don't they give us the fun ones? What else we got news-wise? Oh, Trump Attorney General. Trump's acting Attorney General. So Trump fired Pam Bondi. Remember the blonde woman? The Dow is at 50,000. That woman. He fires her. And his acting Attorney General, who's Todd Blanche, who's nasty, angry, witchy MAGA guy. I mean, just a nasty, nasty man. Blanche says today, or in the last day, the Department of Justice, does an interview on Fox News. The Department of Justice has now released, he's talking about Epstein, has now released all the files with respect to the Epstein saga. To the extent the Epstein files was part of the past year of this Justice Department, it should not be a part of anything going forward. He claims all the files have been released. They released around 3.5 million files. There are 6 million files. They released half of them. He claims all of them have been again, we're not idiots. So now the big question goes, why is Todd Blanche, who's the acting Attorney General, hiding nearly half of the Epstein files? Not just hiding them, but he's lying about it, right? Again, the Department of Justice has now released all the files with respect to the Epstein scandal, or saga. He says saga, not scandal. All of them, he claims. How is 3? Is 3 all of 6? Now, maybe, MAGA math is different. I don't know. But where I come from, 3 is not 100% of 6. 3 is half of 6. Thank you, Heather. But we don't say that you've, released all the files when you release half. So the problem becomes, what are they hiding, right? What's in these files? What's in these files? Didn't see a fourth one, John. I don't know about that. I did not see a fourth one. John is saying he thought a fourth aircraft was shot down. Not when I was looking earlier. I don't think so. I mean, I'm happy to believe it if it's confirmed, but I'm going to look, but I don't think that's confirmed. Because what I also do is I check the show. I go online right before the show, and I do a last, hey, enough out of you. And I do a last look, and I did not see anything that said there was a fourth. I can always go and look. I'd actually have to, let me look here. I'd actually have to go and let me look at my defense folks I follow on TikTok and see. Because some of these guys would be the ones. Hold on. Well, here's one person at the Stimson Center. She's mentioning 3, the F-15, the A-10, and the helicopter. Well, she says helicopters. I don't know. I'm looking here. I'd have to look at anybody else seeing it? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that that's the case. I don't know, guys. I'm not seeing anything, so who knows? But any case, yeah, I'm still seeing 3 mentioned. Yeah, so maybe. Well, here's Natasha at CNN. She would have it probably. Nope, A-10 was struck. Yeah, and then 2 other aircraft. Yeah, any case, nothing yet. 2 choppers hit. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure what else. Anyway, little bit other news. Trump now has a net disapproval with working class white voters for the first time ever, meaning for the first time ever, Trump's disapproval is higher than his approval with working class white voters. Those were like Trump's base. They don't like him anymore. I mean, this is really good heading into November. We've got the midterm elections in November, which are only the congressional elections are this fall. Democrats are expected to win the House of Representatives by massive margins as of today. That can change. The Senate, there was no chance. Republicans control both. There was no chance in the Senate. Now they're saying there's a real chance. This stuff with Trump being this unpopular is unprecedented for going into an election. Having a president this disliked. Having said that, this is not unprecedented with Trump. It is unprecedented that even his working class white voters are starting to not like him. That's very interesting. Finally, Ukraine, this was wild to do. Ukraine's defense minister. So Mikhailo Fedorov is Ukraine's defense minister. He's the young guy who was Ukraine's like tech wizard. Remember the guy with the short hair, kind of very short hair, cut, and was their drone guy, their tech guy, their internet guy. He was the guy doing all the creative stuff. Zelensky made him defense secretary maybe 6 months or a year ago or something. And he was giving statistics today on thank you, Lee, on recent Russian casualties. Now, we know the Russians had a big spike in casualties recently. These numbers are eye-opening, however. Listen to this. Fedorov says March was a historic month for the Army of Drones, 35,300 plus enemy casualties. Now, a casualty, remember, a casualty in military terms means injured or killed. It can be, it includes both. So when you say 35,000 casualties, you mean 35,000 men and women or soldiers killed or injured, right? So it could be either one, or injured enough to take them out of the battle, basically. So hurting your finger doesn't count. 35,300 plus enemy casualties in 1 month, 151,000 targets hit. For 4 months in a row, Russian losses have exceeded their replenishment rates, so they're basically getting rid of more Russian troops than the Russians can bring in. That's historic as well for this war. We are on track to our strategic goal of 50,000 a month. 50,000. This would be, actually, that would be 50,000 casualties a month. Wow. Wow. I mean, that's incredibly bad because also I'm trying to remember, we'd looked at the numbers before of how many of those would have been deaths, and I'm forgetting now what the actual number is that we were looking, probably at least a third, although I think it was higher for the Russians. Actually, for the Russians, it was 2/3, I think. We looked at this the other day, remember? Because the number, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? Want another one? Here. The number was crazy high. I think it was 2-to-1 death to injury for the Russians, because we talked about this and we all were like, holy crap, that's like really bad. Yeah. So anyway, that is it for the news stories. We will sit and talk. Now we chat for the rest of the show. We spend the first half of the show going through any stories I think are worth talking about. I'm going to sit back, and then the second half is us hanging and talking. So hello, everybody. Get this. Actually, it's already getting dark out. I could turn the lights down a little bit. That's good. That is good. Weekend plans? Not really. Seeing you guys tomorrow. It is not my Easter, so I'm not doing that. Why demand a declaration of war? I was kind of curious about that. I was trying to think about that. What I was trying to think of was, first of all, is for a Republican senator demanding a declaration of war, that's very interesting. Now, maybe he's just principled. I mean, basically, it is the Senate. It is the United States Senate that declares war. I mean, it is. Trump, this is clearly a war at this point. Trump should not be doing this without the Senate's approval. But the Senate has not approved, excuse me. So if this senator, this Republican senator, is a purist, he may just in principle, to defend the prerogative of the Senate, want a declaration of, maybe he's just a constitutionalist. I don't know. I could see a situation where, for political reasons, he's demanding a declaration of war. I think as much as Democrats say you've got to have a declaration of war, I think it puts you in a very weird spot voting on a declaration of war when we're already at war, right? We're already there. We've already been blowing them up for a month. This is a huge war already. You put senators in a really weird spot if you say, okay, we want you to vote whether or not you're going to keep funding the troops, right? Whether or not, I mean, I just think it's, even for Democrats who are, even for me, where I'm not happy with what Trump did with this war, it puts you in a weird position to say, okay, bring all the troops home right now, just stop the bombing immediately and come home. Because, for example, Iran is still controlling the Strait of Hormuz, right? Do you leave Iran controlling the Strait of Hormuz and just go home? And they may not open it up again, and they may charge a toll, which they're talking about doing. So it is interesting politically. I got up early this morning. It is interesting politically to sort of say we're going to we're going to have a war authorization vote. Basically, you would have what you could do is what we did with Iraq. I was on the Senate floor for Iraq, the first Iraq war, the good one, and we had a use of force authorization. It was not a declaration of war, but it was a Senate resolution authorizing the use of force. And this was the good Iraq war, the one that was justified when Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait. And most of the members, most of the senators voted for it. But they didn't really declare war, but they did authorize use of deadly force. So, it was, I don't know why they didn't, but it was basically declaring war. I think, my suspicion is, part of the reason they didn't is, it's probable that we were still negotiating with the Iraqis at that point. And the idea was, if you declare war, you've declared war. But if you authorize the use of force, you say, if the negotiations do not go anywhere, you are authorized to blow them to smithereens. That gives the president a good negotiating position. Whereas if you declare war, how do you have negotiations after you've declared war? So that's my suspicion on why they probably did that. World War II, United States deaths were 460,000 total, 9,000 a month. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's really interesting. Oh, hey, Ryder fan in Saskatchewan. That's way out there west. Canada. Oh, God, I am tired, guys. Sorry. Oh, I woke up a little early, sometimes because the dog gets me up early sometimes. And she woke me up early, and I almost went to bed, but it was like half an hour or 45 minutes early, which is just enough to mess with you. So I stayed awake, and I'm like, now I'm tired. Hey. Psst, 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 psst. All right. Anyway, what else, guys? What else? Oh, thank you, Julie. You guys are coming up with fun gifts today. UK total was 383,000 total, 63. Now, are these casualties or deaths? Oh, these are deaths, WC. Oh, excuse me. Oh, boy. Anyway, what else, guys? What else? You're up since 4 a.m. That's worse than me, that's for sure. Yeah, Russia lost 30. Russia did lose a lot in World War II, and then they thanked the world for coming to their aid by kidnapping half of Europe and holding it hostage for 45 years. That was swell. So I have zero sympathy for the Russians in World War II. They literally took advantage of the end of World War II to grab half of Europe and imprison millions of people in communist dictatorships for 45 years. So as far as I'm concerned, they can go, they can argo. They can argo themselves as far as I'm concerned about the Russians and their deaths in World War II. It's practically like worrying about German casualties in World War II. It's almost at that level for me. Thank you, Marcia. We were allies, and they knifed everybody in the back at the end of the war. Well, you know what? And they were allies, by the way, correct. They were allies with the Germans first. The Russians were allies with the Germans. And then the Germans knifed the Russians about 2 years in, so Russia went to war with Germany, but that's only because they were allies with the Germans. Thank you, Eslin. Appreciate that. Oh, and thank you, Marcia, as well. Oh, boy. Exactly. Well, no, I mean, look, we and the Russians did a good job. When I say we, I mean collectively, Brits and everybody else, Canadians, Australians, everybody else. We all did a good job taking on the Germans. Thank you, Christina. But then the Russians knifed us all at the end. So, they divided Poland. They murdered. My God, they murdered the Poles too. The Katyn massacre. They lined up 20 or 30,000. I think 20,000 at least Polish military officers and just brought them into the forest and shot them all. 20,000 men. They shot them to death. The Russians did. I mean, yeah. So I have a hard time, looking up to these people, Anyway. Oh, your grandfather was one of them? Get out of here. In Katyn? Seriously? In the Katyn massacre or in Poland overall? Sorry, just curious, but that was somebody on TikTok. Wow. I hear you, dog. I know. We did enter the war late, except that we weren't Japan's ally. We weren't exactly Japan's treaty ally, but the Germans and the Russians were. They signed a little friendship treaty, and the Russians promised they wouldn't enter the war so that the Germans could attack Europe. America was isolationist, which is different. I would have liked America to enter the war earlier, but it's a lot different. Basically, the Russians going, hey, let's split up Europe. Why don't you go and attack everybody, Mr. German? And we'll go attack everybody here and have a little treaty that we don't attack each other so that we can all just ravage the world. That's a little different than America is isolationist and doesn't want to get involved. I think America should have gotten involved. So did Roosevelt, finally did. But that's a lot different. We were not allies of the Japanese, and we didn't say, hey, Japan, go and attack the world because we're going to start attacking the rest of the world. Anyway, that's my only disagreement with you, Dario, is I agree the U.S. didn't get involved, but way different sort of moral and ethical overhang to the U.S. not getting involved. And the U.S. not getting involved, again, I think U.S. should have gotten involved earlier, but I watched that whatchamacallit series, The Roosevelts, was really good. The one by what's-his-name who does all the historical documentaries. You guys know. Somebody will tell me the guy's name, the film guy, the TV documentary guy who just did the Roosevelts and all the other stuff, the Civil War, all that stuff. Ken Burns. Meacham's very good too, but this is Ken Burns. And Ken Burns' special on the Roosevelts was really interesting because he was talking about Franklin Roosevelt going into World War II and how America, actually, it was really interesting. It was saying, left over from World War I, but also, and this was the most amazing, because I think of my family, he said that America was made up a lot at that point in the 1930s of immigrants from Europe. They were new immigrants from Europe. And they all fled Europe to get away from Europe's never-ending wars. Not all of them, but a lot of them fled Europe to get away from all the wars. He goes, and all of a sudden, it's another European war they're getting dragged into, and they didn't want it. And I thought that was right, because my mom told me, my family left Greece in 1938 because my grandfather predicted the Nazis were going to invade Greece. They did 2 years later. The Germans did a year later for the Nazis, and then the Nazis themselves came 2 years later because the Greeks beat the Italians. Love my Italians, but we won. So the Germans had to come themselves, maybe 6 months later, whatever. And the point was, he wasn't going to take my family out of Greece, but he did because the Germans were coming, because another European war was coming. And he said, we're going to America to get away from that war. Well, I mean, I don't know how my grandfather felt about the war. It would have been interesting to ask him. But if he brought his family from Europe in 1938 to escape Germany invading Greece, and a year or two later, right, he was asked, hey, how do you feel about America going to war with Germany? He'd be like, I brought my family here to get away from that. Anyway, I'm not really defending it, but it was a really interesting observation about just that fact that we were all people, not all of us, but a lot of us were people who came to America to escape Europe's wars. And they saw World War II and they said, are you kidding me? They're doing it again, right? So it was just very, I mean, again, I think America had to get involved in the wars. I'm glad we did. But that was the concept behind us not getting involved. It was this deeply entrenched isolationism that had merit. I mean, again, I don't support it, but it had merit. It was not a crazy idea for why people were opposed to getting involved. I'll put it that way. But oh God, Monkey, that's way over my head. I am a foreign policy. Monkey's asking, actually, I'll ask this for the rest of you. Monkey's asking an interesting question, but I think that's way over my head. I'm foreign policy. I'm not defense. Monkey's saying, what is your opinion of American doctrine in modern day drone warfare? The past 30 years, America tried to minimize losses by using air supremacy and also superior vehicles. I have no idea, but I'm throwing it out there because maybe some of the rest of you, because I know we've got actual military people here or former military, some of you want to weigh in. I'll leave it up for a second. People can see it, but I have no clue. I have no clue about drone doctrine and all of that. I really don't. I am somebody who admits when it's over my head. That one's above my pay grade. George is saying modern drone warfare in the U.S. is lacking. I would assume it's lacking just because, right? I mean, And unfortunately, we don't want to learn from the Ukrainians because Trump is too proud. But not just too proud. Trump, because of the weird Putin thing, hates Ukraine, and you know what I mean. Like we're like in the best position in some ways to get the advantage of Ukraine's expertise. I mean, all of us came to their aid, but the U.S. did lead the coalition up until we said "F you," right? Flying Medic is saying the U.S. is unfortunately behind when it comes to drones. They're chasing Russia and Ukraine technology. Thank you, Terry. Now, the one thing I did see was at the beginning of this war, the Russians were complaining. The Russians were worried. What was it about the U.S. drones? They were freaking out about the U.S. drones. And I'm trying to remember what it was. Was it because they were autonomous? What was it? There was something with the U.S. drones that they were freaking out. And they said, our drones aren't that good. And I'm forgetting what it was exactly. I don't remember exactly what it was. Now, Justin is saying, what do you hear, if anything, about support in the Muslim world for the current war in Iran? Oh, God. I mean, well, okay. It's interesting because, right, what we do here, I'm kind of surprised by this. I mean, this has been in the press. But supposedly, our Middle Eastern allies, because Iran attacked them, they kind of turned around. Oh, sorry, Paula, that sounds gross. Because Iran attacked our Middle Eastern allies, a lot of our Middle Eastern allies, like Saudi Arabia, maybe UAE might have been another one, have been telling Trump, don't leave. You need to finish them off. Basically saying, we've had enough of Iran. They're going to be even more empowered if you leave. You have got to have regime change. You've got to knock out that government entirely. So very interesting from that perspective. But they're saying it apparently because when Iran turned around and attacked them, they went, okay, that's it. Like, our deal, we didn't get involved. Americans are attacking you, but we didn't get involved, and now you're attacking us, right? So that I thought was very interesting. Hello, you. I know. A little bit more. My dog. I brought my dog. I've got all my little treats for my dog to keep her happy, except my dog's a little too smart, so I think all it's doing is making her now whine the entire show so she can keep getting treats the entire show. You know her. Turkey is not an ally to the West. I think that's pretty true. Unfortunately, yeah, I think that's very true. Anyway. What else? Emil is saying, Ukraine and the U.S. have initiated and implemented anti-drone drones, modifying small rockets into budget mini missiles and energy-directed weapons like the Leonidas directed microwave beam. I agree on that one. Yeah, Monkey saying, as a European, I'm rightfully upset about the Trump regime, but I'm happy that NATO and the European countries are taking defense more seriously. I agree with that. I mean, I think now, and Trump is too stupid to realize this. From an American perspective, we kind of want you weak. I mean, we want Europe to have weapons. But from an American perspective, we kind of want you to, hang on, I've got to convince TikTok I'm a real person. There we go. We want to be in charge. We want to decide, right, when you get involved. I mean, if you've got a lot of weapons, you can help. But if you don't have enough weapons, you need us. And we want you to need us because that gives us stuff. It helps us in trade negotiations. It helps us in everything. Even in wars like this, for example, right? Under normal circumstances, you might have felt a little more compelled to come along because America is the big 800-pound gorilla, right, in NATO. And I would argue that that's good. It's not good for Europe. That's really good for the United States, right? If we control you like our little puppy, that's good for us. Again, these are nasty analogies, but you get my point. From a selfish American perspective, I want you addicted to us, right? From a European perspective, you do not want to be America's puppy. You do not want to be dragged into crazy wars. You do not want to be dependent on some madman in the White House who may just decide he doesn't want to defend you next time, which is what this guy's doing, right? You need to, and honestly, I think it's nuclear weapons, unfortunately. It's not just nuclear weapons, but I think nuclear weapons are a big part of it. I think, France and Germany maybe need more, or at the very least, more European countries need nuclear weapons. But I also think you may need better militaries across the board. A lot of you. Thank you, Angeline. You know. So yeah, I mean, I would agree with you. I'm glad. As much as what Trump is doing is horrible, I am glad if it'll lead to Europe building up its own defense industry, building up its own defenses, so that Europe can defend itself better. But what idiot in the White House doesn't realize is that means he won't be able to push Europe around as much. Economically, but even economically, he can play games economically, but you're a big block too. If you guys could get your act together, you could tell him, go screw you. You're going to close our market, we'll close your market. We'll close our market. You want to close yours? Okay, right? So that's, yeah. Exactly. Flying medic, somebody was going to weigh in and tell, yeah, exactly. Sasha, stop. Anyway, a couple more minutes. So I have decided to get my dog the Librela shots. Thank you, Bonzo, for the bunny. We've talked about that before. We talk about my dog a lot. But we were talking about it for her because she's got arthritis and other stuff. And, she's on many different pills. She's old. She's 16 plus. But she's on many pills. But she's doing okay, but she's doing a little worse. Like she's kind of been, she limps, but she's been limping a little worse. So I talked to the vet, and the vet agreed and said, yeah, let's try the Librela. So we are going to start that on Monday, and we'll see, along with her other pills. And what do you do? She's 16 in 3 months. I mean, it is what it is. Well, but it may or may not help because the vet even said, like, it's a mixture of, she probably has arthritis. She probably has the luxating patella knee problem. She probably has some back issues. It's like, it's hard to know. I'm already on that Kelly Democrat. She's got that. I'm not on it, but she's on it. But it's hard to know what it is. But when I described it to the vet, her latest symptoms, the vet said, that could still be arthritis. Yeah. So, it can have side effects that also aren't good. So she said, just keep an eye out for them. And if you stop, the dog tends to get better. Typically, you stop the shot and it gets better. So I was like, all right. That's right. She needs brownies, except brownies would be dangerous. No, but she is an old lady. I mean, honestly, she was doing really good. She went from, I would say last year she went from like 80 years old to 90 years old, or maybe 88 or 90. Like she was a perfect 80-year-old healthy last year. And then at Christmas, she started getting a little bit. And right now she's an 88 or 90-year-old who's having a lot of hip and joint problems, right? And vision problems too, unfortunately, because that happens to dogs. Vision and hearing starts to go almost all senior dogs, really, So that's unfortunate. What do you do? I mean, again, it's killing me, but she's 16 in 3 months. I've been very lucky getting a dog this old. My friends had a dog. My friend's dog made it to 20. It's crazy. 20-year-old dog. What else here? Let me look. I'm going to look again and see that there isn't anything else like on the New York Times. Well, and it's not always 7 years. Sasha, stop. It's not always 7 years. For the dog, like 1 year is 7. But I'm sort of extrapolating. I mean, I asked ChatGPT, but I can also tell just the health of my dog. Like I think she's 88, 90 at this, 88 or 90, maybe 80, like my mom at 90, like a very healthy 90. But that means lots of joint problems and everything else, right? Let's see here. Okay, New York Times. Let's see. Yeah, I think, like I said, I don't think there is a fourth plane. U.S. forces were searching on Friday for an American airman who bailed out of a fighter jet over Iran during the first shoot-down of a U.S. warplane 5 weeks into the war. A second crew member was rescued, New York Times. Iran's military was also searching for the missing American from the F-15 Strike Eagle, according to 3 Iranian officials. The officials said, during American rescue efforts, a U.S. Black Hawk helicopter was hit by ground fire, but managed to escape safely. Okay. Another U.S. airplane, an A-10 Warthog, crashed near the Strait of Hormuz about the same time as the F-15E. The pilot was safely rescued. They did not say what caused the plane to go down, although I did see a different report saying it was the Iranians. Yeah. And it would be a big problem if the Iranians get their hands on this guy or gal. Although knowing Trump, I'll bet you it's guys. I'd be surprised. I'd be very surprised if Hegseth is letting women fly combat missions over Iran. That would surprise me. Yeah, that's it. Yep. There is no further that's what I thought. There's no further update about that. So anyway, so far one is missing that we know of, right? Excuse me, that we know of. Video of a crashed female pilot. What do you mean, Monkey? I mean, maybe, but I'm just be very surprised that Hegseth would allow women to fly combat missions because he's such a sexist. Like I said, that would surprise me. Maybe, but that would surprise me. I mean, there was. Well, I'm trying to think. Wasn't the woman captured? Was that not Iraq? Like, was that not the Gulf War? Like the first Gulf War? Or what? I remember something about a woman being captured at one point. Was that the first Gulf War? I don't remember now. Beginning of which war? Oh, that's right. You mean the 2 or 3 planes the Kuwaitis shot down? Oh, right. Remember that was friendly fire from the Kuwaitis. Remember? Yeah. Exactly. Monkey and everybody else. Yeah. I forgot there was a woman. Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Okay, that's interesting. Of course, it was friendly fire. So again, she wasn't doing a combat mission if it was sort of friendly fire over Kuwait. Well, could have been. That's not true. They could have been doing a combat mission. Hey. I know. Oh my God. The whining. Oh my God, the whining from you. One more. Did we drop it? There you go. All right. Anyway. Well, Iran, I mean, the thing with Iran, Iran, it would be a propaganda coup if they got their hands on our pilot. But if Iran were to treat the pilot well, I think it would be a bigger propaganda coup, right? I mean, Iran right now should be showing the world that they're not the big bad guy, right? Right? Iran should be showing the world that while Trump is threatening war crimes, they're actually treating American prisoners of war correctly and blah, 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 right? That's right. There was the journalist. But the journalist that abducted, I thought was that not with Hezbollah in Beirut, or where was that? Are you talking about that one? That's a different one, or did something else happen? There was a journalist abducted a couple days ago, but I thought that might have been Beirut or Lebanon or something, because I saw a bunch of people I know knew the journalist. Yeah, I mean, again, you never know. It would be clever for Iran. They might, Oh, man. Iraq? Oh, maybe it was Iraq. I remembered it was somewhere that wasn't Iran. Okay, so it could have been Iraq. Yeah, that's the one. But it was, at this point, hey, stop. At this point, it could have been 5 days ago, maybe? It wasn't just a couple days ago. Like 5 to 7 days, maybe? I don't know, something like that. Hey, we've stopped? Oh, my God. My crazy dog. We got 2 little treats left. Oh, dropping one. I don't know where I dropped it. Oh, you got it? Okay. It's funny. Her vision isn't good, but when I drop a treat, she's looking around. She saw it and went for it. I'll give her credit for that. Well, that's the question. I mean, we don't know if the U.S. is taking POWs, right? I mean, you could hear her now. Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know that she's gotten louder because this is what I deal with every day. But I think the microphone and the position, maybe she's in just the position you can hear her now, Anyway, oh boy, her nose does still work. The nose is perfect still, which is good. But she's funny though. Like when it's bright outside, like she gets confused at my door. She'll go to the window, and I feel bad because she'll go to the window instead, and I'm like, no. But inside the house, she sees okay inside the house. Her hearing is not great. but I still feel bad. But she's limping. I mean, she's not limping like leg in the air, but she's limping as if you're an old lady. She is an old lady. You're an old lady and your hip hurts. So she's walking a little funny. You know what I mean? It's not leg in the air. It's just walking funny, and it sometimes is worse. Sometimes it's a little better. So I can tell day to day how she's feeling, you know? Your older dog barks constantly. Well, this one whines, although her whining is during the evening hours. I mean, again, it could be sundowning, or she also knows she gets food because she gets dinner, she gets a snack. She then gets her second little snack at 8:30 to kind of hold her over the evening. And between her dinner and the second meal, those 3 or 4 hours, she's terrible. But the best part is she'll be whining and whining and whining. I give her, hey Teddy in Sweden. I give her her treats. Like I give her her final meal at like 8:30. Take her to my bedroom. She's fine. She's fine. And that's what makes me think she's not sundowning. Because if she were sundowning, why when I give her the second meal and take her to my bedroom would she be like la la la? She's fine then. Literally lays down and she's done for the evening and sleeps until the morning and she's fine. She might have to go out and go pee, you know, make me take her out, but you know, just like la la la, you know. So makes me a little suspicious, you know. That's not what's she has me. That's what I mean. She has me trained very well. That's what I think is. But that's exactly what I think is going on. I'm not entirely. There may still be a little early dementia, maybe, but she's just using me. She's totally using me. I mean, it's terrible. You know, I've got her final treat. Okay, final treat. Here you go. Okay, that's all I got for tonight, dog. But you're lucky. We got like a minute left in the show. No more treats. Oh my God. Anyway. Oh boy. Oh, excuse me. All right, guys. So tomorrow, remember, we've got our hangout for the monthly subscribers tomorrow. Saturday is everybody at 11 a.m. Eastern. Sunday, no more. Sunday is the $24.99 and up monthly subscribers. So that's a much smaller crowd. And Sunday is just on TikTok. No, not TikTok. YouTube and Discord, because Substack, there isn't a $25 a month thing. Sorry. Tomorrow is still everybody. Tomorrow is Substack, TikTok, YouTube, Discord. But Sunday for the $25 people, the only place I can offer that is YouTube and Discord. There wasn't an option to offer it anywhere else. TikTok wouldn't let me. It's crazy. And Substack, I don't even think Substack has that. You know, different levels. So anyway, you do get a live. It's tomorrow at 11 a.m. HB, you absolutely do. You get 11 a.m. And the people on the other service that paid even more get an extra one. But everybody that paid your level tomorrow morning, yes, you do. Fret not. I just had to find, so the funny part was somebody wrote me and complained, said, this isn't fair. I can't see any of your shows unless I pay. And I was like, you can see all my shows without paying. What are you talking about? I said, I do a special one on Saturday to be nice to the people who pay. And then Sunday once a month, I do, for the $25 people, by the way, it's once a month that I do an extra one because they're doing $25 a month, right? I said, that's it. I said, Monday to Friday, 5 days a week, four weeks a month, 20 shows a month. I do free. And the guy, I didn't look with the guy didn't write back yet. But people do that sometimes. They don't quite realize. I'm like, it's not, I don't charge. Anyway, so so you got tomorrow's show. So everybody who's a monthly subscriber, tomorrow morning, 11 a.m., TikTok, YouTube, Discord, Substack, all of you, join us. You should be, and it's a fun show. We hang out. It's not, you know, if there's crazy news going on, we talk about it, of course, like if it's like when the invasion first started, right? But otherwise, we hang out and we talk. It's nice. It's nice. But it is sort of a casual crowd, smaller crowd. But anyway, it's nice. So, and since it's morning, Missikins will be sleeping and she won't be whining. So that'll be an added benefit. All right, I'm going to go, guys. Have a good night. Thank you. TikTok especially. You had lots of gifts tonight, so thank you for that. Discord. I'm going to start with you and then do Substack and YouTube at company. So Discord, thank you, guys. Have a good night. I hear you, dog. I know. She gets one more treat, and she's like, I want my treat. All right. TikTok, you're next. Substack, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, everybody. All right.